Here we go again. The US government has been shut down. Both sides of the same coin couldn't agree where to spend trillions of dollars, so they went home to make everyone believe this is real. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. What am I talking about? You've seen it in the news. The US government is shut down. Well, let me show you a different perspective. Let's begin with this. The federal government shut down at midnight Friday as senators continue to scramble to reach a deal to fund the government. This is the first modern government shutdown with Congress and the White House controlled by the same party. So of course, this is two sides of the same coin. It doesn't matter who is in control, because ultimately they work for their handlers. The White House press secretary said this: "Tonight, they put politics above our national security, military families, vulnerable children, and our country's ability to serve all Americans." She even went on to say they are obstructionist losers, not legislators. My opinion is that if the government cannot agree to particular terms to decide on a bill, to push through a law, maybe it's better, because I often see they try to get through, always at the last second, this massive bill that's 1,000 or 3,000 pages sometimes, and they push it through at the last second. Absolutely nobody reads it. They admit to that. They sign on it. And there's always this fine print that gets stuck in there that is really terrible for liberty. It's always in there somehow. It has nothing to do with the bill, but they put it in purposely, knowing nobody can object because they never read it. And then you hear a lot of these quotes. So let's look at this. It's déjà vu. The fiery rhetoric that lawmakers fired at each other in 2013 during the last government shutdown echoes today as the Senate hurtles toward another shutdown beginning at 12:01. As of this recording, it's already happened. The sentiments on Twitter and the floor speeches and interviews are similar, but who is saying them has changed. And the article talks about 2013 under the Obama administration. The Democrats had the Senate and the Republicans controlled the House. Now, the Republicans have both chambers. Now that's fine, but as I said earlier, who bankrolls these politicians? Of course, it's always the same groups. We're looking at the JP Morgans, we're looking at the Goldman Sachs, and all these other big corporations. When you're getting paid so much money, you're getting kickbacks left and right, you don't have any allegiance to anyone but your pocketbook. And that's the way this works. People believe that these politicians are there to serve their interests. Nope. There's no way that I'm going to be lied to anymore. Look at this. Deadline passes triggering the shutdown. Senate rejects short-term spending bill. So I'll show you these next two articles essentially saying the same thing from a different source. The Senate rejected a one-month spending bill on Friday, triggering a shutdown of many government services as lawmakers scrambled to reach a deal. All right, and similar there from CNBC, House passed bill to avoid government shutdown sinks in the Senate as funding deadline passes. So essentially, they tried to get this short-term bill in. It would let them go, extending that up until February 8th. They thought maybe let's just do this. If you'll agree upon that, then, maybe we can come to a better deal. Didn't work out. So the government shuts down. The question I have is, how bad is this? When a government shuts down, does everything just fall apart? The planes fall down from the sky? What's going to happen? Are the borders unprotected? Well, look at these previous instances. Looking at 1981 up until the more recent one of 2013. Most previous periods of funding gaps have been so short they had little practical effect in shutting down the government. And each one of these blocks represents a full day. So there's different reasons for why this has happened over the years. But essentially what we can see is that most of the time they have been very, very short. In 2013, it was a 16-day shutdown, as an example. They do claim that some services are basically turned off, reduced. But I would say that the things that matter most to the government will remain operational, fully operational. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look at this. You're looking at a top secret intelligence statement. This was provided by none other than Mr. Snowden. This document is from fiscal year 2013. And it's talking about the black budget of the, what's that? CIA. That's right. The black budget is $53 billion. Now this $53 billion, do you think this will be impacted at all because of the government shutdown? What's your take on that? What do you think? You think that maybe they'll cut from this black budget that we're not supposed to know about? That was 2013, by the way. I'm sure this has increased quite significantly. My guess is that probably not a dime will change in their budget as a result of the government shutdown. What about this? The NSA and this fake, I don't believe this number at all, but let's just pretend for a moment. Everyone likes to believe in fairy tales sometimes. $10 billion. The NSA. The NSA $10 billion budget. Do you think that will be affected by the government shutdown? I happen to think that it will not. But I'll leave that up to you because they generally hide a lot of real information from us. You know, we're told a lot of information every day, and I don't think that people understand the purpose of any mainstream media outlet. And they think that mainstream media is there to basically report on what's happening. If you were to just take a step back and zoom out, just for a moment, if you would, if I can have your time for another minute. Imagine for yourself that these institutions that exist, doesn't matter, pick any of the mainstream media. What if they existed specifically to be a mouthpiece for the government? And I mean that entirely. If they were really just state entities and they reported on information as they were told, exactly how they were told, and they would be able to cover up anything that they desire. Will that change your mind about anything? From the way that we read information, the way that we get this bias about this idea that there can be truth out there. It just doesn't exist. We get these little pieces of information. I get the fragments. You don't know how much information I have to go through. So you might see on average, I mean, not this video in particular, but average video, let's say it's 10 minutes long that I provide. And within that 10 minutes, you get, let's say, 5-10 articles or charts or anything else. I have to go through realistically, probably about 50 different articles, charts, and documents to get you that little bit of information. And even those, we know they're skewed. So we're seeing a fraction, and I'm going through, after all these years, I've been, able to get the better sources that are available out there. And still, it's a fraction of the real truth. So we do what we can. That's all. So the government shutdown, the things that matter the most, they're still in operation. And they're listening to you and I right now. Well, let's leave them a message down below. Why not? That should be fun. If you found the video informative, please give me a thumbs up. Last but not least, if you found the video informative, I know you'll find my books, The Money GPS and my newer release, Global Economic Collapse, even more informative. You can actually flip through these books. If you go over to Amazon, they have a look inside feature. It's going to allow you to flip through the pages of these books to see if you like them. Take care.